we're going to start doing our little pre-glazes here. The palette, this is actually like day 4 for this palette here. Our usual white are, oh, what's that? The off-white yellow, brilliant yellow pale, cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow deep, terra rosa. We actually put some cad red deep out there because it was a topic of conversation yesterday, so I threw that out there. We still got our Fanchon red. That's our quinacridone brown. That's our asphaltum, Prussian blue, umber, indigo, Van Dyke brown. Then there's going to be an awful be a lot of the Van Dyke brown and that sort of stuff. Hey, Nessie, I got to see a lot of your pictures today. I saw the cavalry there. That was looking really sweet. And your Star Wars, well, it's the speeder bike guys, right? The scouts, those were looking really fun too. Let's see. Oh, hey, Mini Monster Paints, how are you doing? Well, thanks for joining in. Actually, this is sweet because you get to see the oil paint process kind of from the get-go here. So last night we were working on our marble bases right here, doing all of these in oils. It just, well, everything's easier with the oils. Marble, object source lighting, you name it. And then this is the cataphract that we painted last night. And of course, Thursday, we did yet another one of our sculpting streams here. And we did some mass conversions on 3 Easterling special characters, showing folks how to use the different types of, or mixtures of green stuff. Here there's more blue for structural stability. That's almost more of a 50-50 right there. That actually has a little bit more blue in it. And then this is very much yellow because we needed to sculpt some detail there. Here we've got sort of a 50-50 there. Again, a cloak, way more blue. Our fringe was kind of 50-50. That was a little less. So you can tell by the color we're more like here in the folds. We're looking for more detail there. Hey, Stila. Yeah, we're calling this not Schmandoff, I think, right? Should we call him not Schmandoff? Because this is not Gandalf, otherwise known as Schmandoff. Now, we'll give him, people have been asking about a white light source as opposed to like a blue or a red or an orange or whatever. I mean, we've basically done every other light source in the book, so how's about we do some white light source here? Oh, we also did this. So when we call out the host of the Rohirrim, we have yet another. So speaking of conversions, everybody knows these guys. These were the ones that we did. Just like those Easterlings you saw, these are the converted, just regular Rohan horses into Royal Guards. So lots of sculpting here. And for folks that maybe haven't seen, we will show you what they looked like not very long. Oh, there we go. There's the host. Right on time, baby, as always. So this is what the host looked like. That's what they looked like 2 Thursdays ago. So what, 16 days ago, that is what they looked like. And we painted all of these guys on stream, and now they look up more like this. Yeah, a little more like that. So yeah, we have 2 of these things of Rohan riders now. There's the other one. That's the one you're used to seeing. And then of course, oh, yeah, you probably haven't seen our regular guys in the green wedding dresses right here. So in case those guys ever get knocked off their horses. Do we have Angry Ham in the house? I think we do. Let me see. Oh, thanks, Angry Ham. Yeah, Nessie, I think I saw the speeder bikes, some other picture of those, but I think yesterday and today were the first pictures that I saw of the Baratheon horses, the heavy cav there. Now what we're going to do is a couple of these here, because we'll say that this one needs some of its pre-glaze as well. We'll do it here, let it sit, then we'll hit our Easterling, come back and remove over here. So Angry Ham Steel, I hope everybody is having a decent weekend. I finally had a chance to have my turkey. Basically today was Thanksgiving here. So that was really nice. I was really appreciative about that. And we actually had our pumpkin pie as well. You know, I'm going to throw a little bit of it's a little bit of burnt umber here. We're going to respect the umber early this time. Yeah, we'll respect it early. Then we're going to go back over here. Touch of our asphaltum even. A hint of indigo in this. Yeah, a little bit, tiny bit of Prussian blue. Why not? To our black. This is going to look like just a whole bunch of dark here. That's really all it's going to look like to most everybody on camera. That's what it looks like to me. However, when we take our magical sponges, they will do magical things. And then magic happens with the magical things because they're magical. I'm going to take some of our wonderful indigo blue here, maybe a bit more. And we'll put some indigo up here too. Touch of Prussian blue. It all just looks dark, I realize that. But when we start wiping that away, really does change it. Hey, Mickey, how are you doing? Or Mikey. Let's see. I never got a chance to paint this one. I don't think I ever did.
So say we all. So say we all.
Dark Side Creations, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's another sub right there. That is 4 months in a row. And we got Rocky's War Room in there. Let's see, a final ramble tonight for Season 2. That is happening in 1 hour and 53 minutes, at least according to the time on my computer. So folks, in 1 hour 53 minutes, Rocky's War Room is going to do their usual Saturday broadcast. Surprisingly enough, on Rocky's War Room. So be ready for that. And actually, I hope that the game session went well yesterday too. Or, well, last night, I should say. I hope that went good. All right, so we're just going to let this sit here. We'll take paint away later. We just want to let that sit there. Where did my... There he is. So what we'll do here is... wow, we have the whole thing that we can play with here. We got a whole thing that we can play with here. Yeah, we're going big time on some umber right here. Which we're going to switch over to a bit of asphaltum. Yeah, we'll do that. Hit the crazy mega bow right here. Oh, we got Beef in the hole. How are you doing? Yeah, Beef, I can't. Actually, what's happened is, unfortunately, that the Streamlabs, for whatever reason, it signed me out. I have no idea why. And the last time I tried to sign back in, I lost all of my screens and all of my stuff, so I'm just loath to sign back in here because I really don't want to lose a whole bunch of screens like what happened the last time. Now, of course, I haven't signed in anywhere else, so I think maybe I'll be okay. Well, now this is not exactly, what did the Greeks call their, the gastrophates? Who remembers those good old gastrophates? Otherwise known as belly shooters. Now I know, let's see, so the Greeks did that. How many years later was it when was it the Turks that had the crossbows where they would lay down on the ground and they would use their feet to push out the bow? But yeah, the Greeks, they just chose to stick them into their bellies there and pull back the bow that way, and they called them gastrophates, belly shooters. Let's see, it went great, except we got a big rule wrong. Ooh, yeah, Rocky's War Room, that just... It's different when you're just playing the game, but when you're trying to broadcast it live, you talk about the heat of battle right there. That's pretty darn tough. Well, look at this. Look at this. Speaking of other folks you need to follow, you need to follow Drax. Go check out Drax. Because Drax loves his oils, and, well, Drax has a whole bunch of nifty stuff that he's working on. I mean, you're talking some seriously cool busts. And, of course, Necrons, Blood Angels, Chaos of all types. So be sure to check out Drax. I'm sure you already are. But that's just a little reminder. Yeah, and that's an 8-month sub, and I want one of these, so I'm going to salute the 8-month sub with some of that right there. Thank you. Don't mind me. I just drink that right in your ear. So Drax, I don't know if you had a chance to catch these or not, but this especially made me happy because after I saw the prices for those horrible fail cast figures, they wanted about 30 something bucks for each one of these. Well, actually you can't get the War Priest. Can't even get him. He's not even on their site.
Who enters my domain?
Ah, there we go. We've got ourselves a raid in progress from Outsider Miniatures. Hey, welcome back. Look at the Outsider Miniatures. You're just in time. You're just in time because I don't know if you had a chance to catch things right from the get-go, but we're at the starting point right here. So Angry Ham, it's actually not that thin. It's really not that thin. The older pre-glazes used to be way more thin than this. Now, of course, if you see this one, this was last night's right here. Now, when I got a rough surface like this, see how, look at all the deep crevices there? I will thin it down more to get it down into these crevices, though. But when it's stuff like this that's relatively smooth, why do I need to make it super slippery and super wet? I don't really need to. So it's actually much drier right here. So maybe you'll be okay instead of having to go back and thin down your paints more. So Outsider Miniatures, how are you doing? Oh yeah, Mini Monster paints everything. Actually, everything that I've painted on stream, gosh, in the last 3 months has all been in oil paints. Yeah, all the Royal Guard, actually all of the Rohan were oil paints. Oh, this is people haven't seen this thing in a while. Remember this guy? We painted him in oils. He's like, yeah, what's up? Whoa, give me something. What's in there? So yeah, we painted up this guy in oils. Everything that we paint on here is pretty much going to be in oils. Yeah, Mini Mods, we'll kind of fly through some of the other things that we've done in oils. But right now, what we want to do is cut up some sponges so that all the new folks get to see this very interesting face. I'm going to take Mr. Sponge here. Thank you so much, Soy Angel, for that file. So I got my hands full of scissors here, but I definitely appreciate that sub. Thank you so much. I'm going to cut this into some smaller pieces here. Well, Polly says thank you. He's like, he's got a scissors. He can't get me. He can't get me. And thank you very much. Dark magic is about to happen. As we're going to take this and we're going to start painting with this. And we're just going to very gently start removing some paint here. But what it leaves behind, as you can see, it's not just darker paint. It changes color. We have different colors that are happening here. And you can see that it's almost, it's like it's shading itself. Do another nice little stroke right there. You can take off more, you can take off less. Now, none of these paints, see the indigo? See what a staining color that is? See how that's left more behind? Let's get his chapeau here. Look at that indigo, Prussian blue, a little bit more of a staining color. Get his staff here. Hit his hat. We could even hit that a little harder because that's going to be lit by a light source. We can take some of that away. And a couple seconds, boom. Hey, Ryder, how are you doing? Let's see. Just finished a 6-hour stream, but managed to finish The Lord of Malice. Ooh, well, yeah, Outsider Miniatures, obviously, once you got some pictures set to that, I'm sure you're not going to be posting it to Instagram right now, but you can always post the links to your Instagram or whatever here so that people can see what you just finished. Oh, look at that. Snazzy. Is that not snazzy? How that just kind of does it all by itself. Look at this. Take away a little bit more. These are just cheap old makeup sponges. That's all they are. So, Ryder, I hope you are doing well. Let's see, after buying my first expensive cameo paint, I tried it and it is different. The consistency of the coverage. Hey, Jano. Wow, nice to see you back in here. How are you doing? How are you doing, Jano? Look at this. There's some people that just they would throw a couple highlights on there and say, yeah, I'm okay with that. How long was that? Like 15 minutes? If you just slap some quick highlights on there, you say, yeah, good enough. That could get you an army painted in an afternoon, and not like one of my afternoons that lasts 8 hours or 12 hours, but a regular person's afternoon where they actually get to do other things. So yes, that could potentially, I mean, not so horrible. The outsider still has to do the base. I know pictures of the Lord for a bit. There you go. There's the link to his Instagram. Jan figured out a way to keep up with work better. Oh, Drax, will you be streaming later tonight? I also wanted to ask that too. I thought maybe you might be. I haven't been able to catch anything. Literally the last 2 weeks, I have not been able to. Heck, there was a couple days I even wanted to try and stream. I wasn't even able to stream. So look at all that fun action right there. Now here's another one, and I'm going to just take a little advantage of the same thing. I'm going to just chuck me some of this umber into here. Where's my, there it is. My asphaltum, and folks, the asphaltum was courtesy of Drax. He basically just kept saying, look, you got to try it. Did you try it yet? Did you try it yet? Did you try asphaltum yet? And I tried it, and now it is it's kind of a mainstay. It's a mainstay color. So that's why you have to go out and check out Drax, because there's definitely some colors that Drax has out on that palette that are proven to be fantastic. Yeah, I know sometimes you do what, the Sunday night ones. It is, whoops, wrong shelf. No, that was the right shelf. There's just stuff in the way. It's a Gamlin color, and it is asphaltum right here. And it's really nice because it has some of the properties of Terra Rosa, which we love. We love our Terra Rosa. This is like a near cousin to Terra Rosa. Steel it, it's going to be different on each one. This one, I used a little bit more pressure here because I got so much paint underneath there. Now on Not Schmandorf here, I tried using less because obviously the stuff that we put on here was not a staining color, like at all. So let's get a little more. So that's a little bit lighter pressure there than I'd say might otherwise do. Now we're going to get back into this. Oh, let's grab some of our micro filberts here. Nosferatu in the house. How are you doing? So a little bit of our Van Dyke Brown's going to get a little touch of some of our off-whites here. And you can hear that grinding sound. That is us trying to take away some of that paint, because we don't need lots and lots of paint here. Because look at how much is left behind. Even after wiping the paint away, you can see how much is still left behind. Let's see, can you make my list of stainable paints instead of experimenting on our own? At Tutu, there's no one set thing that's going to make one color more of a staining color than another. Because I have been shocked at what things can be a staining color and what cannot. Like indigo, never expected that would be a staining color. Not in my wildest dreams that I expected it would be, and yet it was. There's other colors that you would think, no way could they not be a staining color, and it turns out they're not a staining color. So there's kind of, unfortunately, no rhyme or reason to some of the formulations, I guess. Let's see. You make the streaming and painting at the same time thing look easy. I fumble through it. Well, it's hey, Queez, how are you doing there? Nosferatu, I think it's battle tested, because years ago I used to do watercolor and pastel demos in front of live audiences for hours at a time, and there'd be 30 people sitting there in chairs, and you had to keep them entertained and such things. And then years of doing this at conventions where people just walk up to you and they say, I need a demo on this. And you have to just find something that's literally sitting at the table and just go, well, you mean like this? So it's kind of, and you're also screaming over everything else that's going on at the convention. Now this is one of our homemade filberts, right? One of our homemade filberts. We're going to work in a little bit of our lighter tone, but you can see some of that pre-glaze is still sitting in there. It's still sitting in there for us to use. So we can kind of go back and forth here a bit. A little bit of back and forth. That's what we want to do with this up here. And we got ourselves a Mike Disney in the house. Where did Mike Disney go? Where did you go? You're sneaking around the house here somewhere. There's a Mike Disney somewhere. Where is he? Where is that Mike Disney? Where is he? There he is, baby. That's Mike Disney. Folks, give Mike Disney a follow. And this is exactly what he looks like every day. This is how he looks. So go check him out and you'll see. This is he's like, that's what I look like, man. So Queets, I hope that you are doing well. Oh, what the heck. Let's go a little bit of our off-white here. This is something we don't really do very often, and that is just straight up almost white light sources. Let's just throw a little bit of this here. That's why we didn't really get too involved with making anything lighter, because if you want to have light, you got to have dark, don't you? So 2-2 colors for sure. Anything that says phthalo in front of it. So literally anything that says phthalo. And I'll see if I can find you a phthalo blue or something like that. Where's the phthalo blue here? Of course, we don't have one sitting here. Ah, there we go. So, well, actually Prussian blue does. But phthalo blue, phthalo green, any of those type of colors, that's going to have it. There's a phthalo blue. So phthalo blue, phthalo green, alizarin crimson. Now this is the big surprise right here. The Egyptian violet. This one right here is probably the champion of staining colors. You would have to have like I don't know, what is that, one of those water cannon things or something, like the blast cleaner or something like that, sand blaster, to get this stuff off. That is how staining that one is. Hey, Walter's Workshop, how you doing? So I hope that's a little bit somewhat helpful for you there, too. Stuff like the alizarin crimson also going to be more of a staining color. Oh, this one was another surprise. This one, brown matter, same thing. Now I can't really promise that, say, something like, where's our quinacridone magenta? That one could also be a staining color. Again, it's a surprise what things are and what things are not. So your purple matter can also be a little bit of a staining color too. And obviously indigo. Yeah, 2-2. That's why I love it so much. Basically every other violet compared to that is a joke. It's a little bit on the sad side, but yeah, that is just so powerful. And everything else compared to it is just pretty much blah. Which is, again, makes me kind of sad, but that's kind of how it is. Now, we're not going to just keep going in little tiny stair steps. Let's see. Mike Disney has refreshed himself once or twice. Okay. So there have been refreshments served, I guess. Maybe once or twice or thrice. Maybe one or two little beverages, maybe. Beverages that might have the word proof after a number, I'm assuming. And you can see the nice light brush stroke to this. And it looks light, but Actually, not very light. One thing we learned last night, it was a real case in point in just how amazingly dark the oils can make you just, wow. Here's a comparison. Where the heck is, oh, I don't have the acrylic one handy here. I'll just have to grab one and see if that's going to work. It might be the same. So look at the darks in this one. This one was done in acrylics. And look at the darks in this one. And none of that is black. None of this one on there. There's no black in there whatsoever. That's just things like asphaltum, umber, Van Dyke brown. There is no black in there. Yeah, look at the difference in the intensity of the darks on this. That's just how dark oils can get versus the acrylics, which, well, really don't get you all that dark, do they? All right, I'm glad to. I'm gonna leave that one out here just so we can access that again. Now, where is our... Ah, here he is. Which is why even on this one here, we just able to get so many amazing darks into this. And there's your Egyptian violet right there. Now this is Egyptian violet and then the interference blue over the top. So this was our series, and there's your interference blue. Look at that interference, look at that. That's oil paint right there. See that doing the shifty thing? Yeah, look at that. Kind of neat, huh? That's oil paint. That was part of a very recent series. And I actually used some of that again, that and the iridescent paint on some Twilight ring rays. And, see that? See there's a little bit of a shimmer there? We tried a couple of the different interference paints. Look at that. Check that out. That's with oil paint right there. Ooh, now you can really see it. Yeah. Such a difference in the contrast. Even here. Now we painted these up just, was it last week we did these, right? Look at all of the skin tones there. Look at all those wonderful contrasts, and look at the darks here in the wings. That's a lot of indigo. Actually, this is a good one to watch for staining colors. Good one to watch for the staining colors. Also our video, oh yeah. I'm just going to let this thing sit here for just a minute or two, let that paint set. I want to get to my dragons here. Where's, nope, that's not my dragons. My dragons are going to be over here. After those guys, and there. So remember here where we experimented with the Egyptian violet as a staining color, the asphaltum to see what of a staining color that is. This was this was still in October, I think. Yeah, it's about maybe 3-4 weeks ago. This is where we first messed around with the rocks, where we gave them the warm glazes and then put cool over the top of them. So you can still go back and watch those highlights. And then check out this chimera here. When you look at the acrylic version of this thing, it's sad. Because there's no darks in it, there's no real color, not compared to that. And that the whole thing was painted in less than 8 hours. That entire thing, less than 8 hours. Hey, Bethany, how you doing? We have a whole bunch of figures that we're going to be getting to here tonight. We got some Easterlings we got to get to. We're going to call this guy Not Schmandoff, a.k.a. Gandalf. But we'll call him Not Schmandoff right now. Because everybody knows and loves actual Schmandoff, the Not Grey. Yeah, there's going to be a sneaky bit of object source lighting there, but not too much. And we're also doing some Easterlings here, so you won't be subjected to too much. You won't be subjected to, but it is, I mean, it is, well, not Schmandoff here, so he has to have a glowing staff. I'm going to take some indigo here for his hat and start to darken some things here. The light's going to come out this way. We're just going to start hitting this with some dark here.
So say we all. So say we all.
It looks like Mike Disney has done a subscription. Oh my goodness, Mike Disney, you didn't get to hear last night. Last night we had a level 4 hype train. And nowadays, when there's a hype train, there's a hype train. Yes. And it makes sounds and it moves. Remember Nessie? We put in went charging across the table, so there's an actual hype train. And that sounds like Darkside Creations wants to have a hype train. Again, it's like, you shall not. Ah, shut up, old guy. This is mine. How rude. That's a rude little hobbit. I'm taller than you are. Thanks to you, Darkside Creations. And I apologize there for a little bit of kabuki theater, but there has to be puppet shows. You realize there must be puppet shows.
So say we all.
You know, the other thing that sometimes can actually be a little bit of a staining color is Terra Rosa. As I wipe a little bit, see? Terra Rosa. Let's see. Hey, Rathu, how are you doing? Uh-oh. I think we might be just about to hit a hype train. And Teal's got himself a subscription too. Thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute. We're to level 3. So that means the train is coming in the station, folks. Dum dum dum. There we go. Bum bum bum.
So say we all.
There it is. Hype train, folks. Hype train time.
So say we all.
Now, I know, folks, a lot of your questions got bumped here, so I'm going to try and scroll back up here. Now, Outsider Miniatures, that's going to be Monday's show. If I can get that together, that's going to be for Monday. I know I've been using Gamlin Fast Matte White, been trying the other colors.
So say we all.
Tutu Bear, I got, because of the kind donation by Damiel last night, I was able to get the, Senile. There's Senile fast drying oils, and that's a set of 8, and those are on their way here. That's going to take I think probably December 5th or 6th is the earliest they might get here.
So say we all.
So when I do some of my December shows, you'll see them then. Hey, Trax. Nosferatu, thanks so much for the bits. Wow, we're almost to a level 5 here. If we get to the level 5, the train comes back out of the station. Oh, and some folks were kind enough. They were kind enough last night to look for the Russian translation of Hype Train, because that's for my bolt action boards, and I need it to be something in Russian.
So say we all.
And thank you so much, Mike Disney, for all the gift subs. That is appreciated. All right, so you get to see we're starting to get that dark line right here, right? Let's start to maybe lighten up Gandalf's beard just a pinch right here. Oh, there we go. Nosferatu finally gets yours. I thought you weren't going to get your sound there, Nosferatu. Sometimes, oh, that's right. It takes a little while. Wasn't it? Oh gosh, it was Avocado Kids that gifted 36 subs, and it took about 10 minutes for all the So Say We Alls to work their way through the system. Teal, I'm doing good here. We finally actually got to have the turkey and the usual Thanksgiving food. We finally had that today, so I was really, really happy to have that. It was the first time it was like, ooh, actually, actual Thanksgiving. This is very cool. And thanks so much, everybody, for all of those gift subs and such. That really does make a huge difference. Like, a lot. Well, anyone who's a streamer already knows that makes a big old difference. But I just want you to know it is appreciated. Now, we got to get ourselves some light things happening here. So, yeah, and folks, definitely check out Armored Wolf's Etsy page and, of course, Instagram. because, yeah, some fantastic dice bags, but there's also some really, really, really fantastic miniature painting there. And sculpting, too. Now, Teals, I don't know if you had a chance to see these or not on Thursday, because Thursdays become our conversion corner / sculpting. And this was Thursday's show right here. We sculpted the Easterling War Priest right here. We sculpted the Dragon Knight. And we also did Amdor, Master of Blades. And what does that mean? What does that sound like? What is that? We've got the train coming through town. Trains coming through town with the coal tender, no less. Look at that. There's a coal tender, yeah. And for folks that were wondering, does this actually move? Yes, it does. Here, let's get this out of the way. Yeah. It moves. Look at that. Actually runs along a bit of a track. It runs along a track. And that's why it's for my bolt action games, because we want to have it literally as movable terrain. So, Jano, the typical Thursday show starts, oh gosh, somewhere between 11 o'clock and midnight my time.
So say we all.
Today's show normally starts at around 3 or 4, but because of food and dishes and everything else, that was delayed until 6. 6 o'clock is typically the start of the Monday and Friday shows. So this is for future reference for folks. Monday and Friday typically start at this time. This time usually is more like 3, 3:30, maybe 4, something like that. Oh, Jano, that's fine because they're all saved. They're all saved as highlights. So you can go back and watch the Candace Chariots highlight. Actually, let me grab one of the chariots for you if I can here. That might be a little dicey, but I'm going to try and grab one here. All right, we got one. So this was the Thursday, last Thursday, not this Thursday, but last Thursday. We were converting Tomb King chariots, Rohan horses. You see, we did some sculpting here, just turning these into, and we did some basing too. Hey, Zip Zap, how are you doing? And we're just going to put that thing away, get that out of the way. Oh, thank you so much, Novice Brush. Thank you very much for that. So, that is appreciated. And he's like, whoa, that's pointy. Watch where you're pointing that thing, old man. Yeah, Tutu, that's, I was trying to find the one that was already primed, because I literally had one that was already primed. And I wanted to paint that one up on stream, doing all the weathering and stuff. And last night, some folks were very kind, and they did the Google Foo, and they found, well, various Russian expressions in Cyrillic for hype train, because it's supposed to be representing basically the trains that were coming out of like the Red October factory and such, delivering T-34s directly to the front. Well, we're just talking about a couple of highlights, right? A couple little highlights, and all of a sudden, this really starts to emerge. Look at this. Yeah, doesn't take very much. And this, again, is our little 60-cent microfilbert right here. Hey, Asmodee, how are you doing? Let's see, the snow melted, so I can clean up all the garden beds to get roots for... well, Zip Zap, you know, what's one of those commandments in the Book of Wappel there? Nothing replicates nature better than nature. Gotta go grab yourself some nature. Gotta go grab that nature so that you can use it. So in no time, look at this. In no time at all. It just is so darn easy. So thanks again, everybody. I want to see... thanks again, Mike Disney. Let's see. I think we're all caught up. Yep, I think we're all caught up now. Trying just a touch of yellow, and that's it, Triox. That's why the oils layer themselves. You don't have to layer them at all. So here again, It's our micro filbert. Let's see what it can do on this guy here. We're even going to have less paint on that brush. Even a little bit less. Now, some of these guys, unfortunately, the way the scale mail is sculpted, you don't get quite as clean of a nice, fun rendering as we did on the first one. Sometimes you do. But the nice thing is you don't necessarily, there's no paint underneath this right here. This is just acrylic paint that was dry for months and months and months. That paint's been dry forever. There's not even oils underneath here. And we can start to lighten that up just a touch there. Hey Tim, how are you doing? And don't forget to send me a link to the brushes. Oh yeah, our Armored Wolf he'll post you a link to the brushes there, because it's from Dick Blick, and you'll be seeing a link up on screen at some point here. I'm sure multiple times during the session you'll see that link pop up, because it gets requested an awful lot. But I tell you, two beater, when I think of all those, you've seen me showing the pictures of those old armies, and all I keep thinking is how much less time it would have taken me to do all those armies in the oils. As in a lot less time, as in I could have painted 2 Tomb King's armies in the time it took me to paint 1. So yeah, they're just Royal Langnickel on Dick Blick. That's it. That's where they were attained. Here, let's hit this armor just a bit more, shall we? Just a bit more there. Oh, I think that we should hit this too. Yeah. And we're doing these guys with the red treatment because, yeah, fight skill 4 is nice, but they are archers. Now, of course, it is a mean surprise when somebody walks up to your archers thinking, "Haha, I'm gonna crush your archer," and you go, "Well, they're fight skill 4. Hey, Zero Cool, how are you doing?" I'm just gonna scooch that in a little bit closer. We got Sarge in the house. Hey, Sarge, we just had a level 5 hype train. Believe it or not, we had a level 5 here. That train headed out of the station, right out of the Red October factory, trying to deliver some wares to the front lines. I think we can go even a little bit lighter here. And this is the nifty thing about look at that. Look at that tip right there. Which means if I prefer to just have some nice sharp lines there, I can just do some nice, sharp lines there. And all of this is very much the opening stages. We're going to get some magentas in here, some violets, all kinds of fun stuff. Hey, Sarge, I got to finally have some turkey today and some pie. So that was some good nutrition right there.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Drippins, for the follow. Hey, oh, Gandalf appreciates that. He says, "Hello, little hobbit." So how are you doing there, Drippins? You know what? Speaking of some of our yellow here, let's chuck a little bit of that onto Not Schmandoff here. Not Schmandoff, the not blue. Let's see. Yeah, Sarge, I was quite surprised. Of course, Mike Disney and company, they also were there to help kind of push that train along. So thank you so much. Darkside Creations throwing out all kinds of ammo too. So yeah, there were rounds flying all over the place. Nosferatu and others chunking out some bitses too. All right, Mini Monster Paints, we're just getting started here. So we'll be here for hours. So might still be, I'm sure I'll still be doing this when you are done with dinners. So I'll be still doing this if you want to come back and see how some of this stuff is looking. We also, where'd you go? We also have this that needs to be painted right here. This is our Mumok base, so we might be painting, actually, yeah, we just might be painting that thing too. Now again, we got plenty of our pre-glaze on here. So, let's say I don't remember the name once. I'll show it to my mates. Other than, okay. Yeah, Mini Monster Paints with typical stream is at least 5 hours long. Average stream about 6.5 hours long. So yeah, the party is only just begun here. It's just getting underway. Let's get some lights here on not Schmandoff, on his face there. I know it's pretty much in shadow for you guys. Now we need to get some reflected lights here, and as much of this is almost taking some of that indigo off of the surface there. All of this really does make the whole non-metallic stuff just so much easier. So actually, Mike, how long are you guys out west there? So yeah, this is literally, what is this? This is our pre-glaze with a couple of light colors thrown over the top of it. And that is it. That's all it is.
So say we all. So say we all.
Now, there's your Megan. There's me. Say, Megan, how are you doing? And thank you so much for that. Are we going to have somebody send us an STL file of Adama so that he can actually do the puppet show on that? And thanks, Megan, for the sub. That is appreciated. I don't know if anybody makes an STL file of Adama, but that would be neat if they did. I don't really think so. I've been wrong before, so I could still be wrong about that. It would sure be nifty if they did. So here, if we're going to have some lighting on this, we're going to have dark, right? You must have dark to show light. Do we have any of the... Wow, see, this is... it's interesting what dries and what doesn't. So that's actually a little bit of Egyptian violet right there. Actually, just throwing a little bit of Egyptian violet into some of this. Why? Oh, just because. Just to get some different colors in there, right? I mean, take a look at actual Schmandoff here. Look, there's greens and oranges and yellow. There's all kinds of stuff. Actually, I think Kathy was going to call him Schmandoff the Beige. Actually, that's what she was going to call him. As we welcome in Bill Robertson. I'll catch you later, Jano. I'll catch you later. And yeah, like I said, the plan for Monday ideally is to have the Balrog. If it's not the Balrog, it'll be something else that will be something Lord of the Rings-ish. It might even be Galadriel in the mirror pool. See, just a little bit more purple in there too. So Bill, I hope everything is doing well. Oh, sure thing. Just powered through the movies for the first time. Ah. So of course, a sure thing. Now you didn't see an Amdur and you didn't see a war priest in the movies, but you surely saw plenty of Easterlings in those movies. Our favorite. Everybody loves the Easterlings, of course. So hopefully you got yourself a good dose of seeing our wondrous favorite Easterlings. Now look at that. That's actually a little bit of some of our yellow mixed with our purple right there, with our violet. Almost turns it a little bit on the beige side. We're doing all kinds of different colors here. And Gandalf the so-called gray here. Plenty of different tones. And of course we can certainly generate some more light in here. Let's get ourselves, see if we got another quadruple zero here that's ready to go. Hey, Motor City Ray, how you doing? Yeah, oh, Motor City Ray, I don't know if you saw the next Dark Sword episode. It's going to be this right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take phthalo green and we're going to do a color chart because there's been no, the little, the color swatches, none of those have ever been done on phthalo green. So we're going to do a phthalo green kind of color swatch, and then we are going to paint up this Dark Sword figure. And that's tomorrow night. Yeah, that's tomorrow night's video right there. Let's see, if you were going to paint a quartered red and yellow Space Marine, oh, the Howling Griffins. Bill, it kind of depends. Let's see, the red is almost sort of a Blood Angels red, or is it a little bit more of a deeper red than the Blood Angels red? Because I sort of remember the Howling Griffins. I just don't know quite how dark their color, or how dark red that is. As we're going to add now a little pinch of umber to that. So yeah, that I'd need a little bit of a hint as to how much darker that red would be. Yeah, you know what, Bill, I might throw something like, well, our Egyptian violet maybe on the side that's going to be more red, and then something like probably something like a burnt umber, I think, on the other side. You could probably get away with doing something like a quinacridone or a brown matter or something like that over all parts. But I'm thinking maybe you'd want to do something like the burnt umber in your parts that are going to be lighter, and something like maybe that quinacridone brown, or even an asphaltum or something where it's going to be darker. Could be interesting to do that. Now this has a little channel on it here. We need to get that channel going. Yeah, now December I will be getting into the Space Marines in December for folks. Now the one chapter, my kind of custom made chapter, I now have determined that I want it to have a winter theme to it, but not space puppies. It's actually going to sort of be looking a little bit like Ossiarchs, but in some nice snow and ice and all that kind of stuff. So we will be hitting some Space Marines in December because, well, obviously people have been asking about Schmesh Marines there. So, and I haven't actually had a chance to paint any of those in oils before. And we're thinking that Space Marines are probably kind of made for the oils. Let's see, put oils on my Christmas list. We'll see if Santa brings those. Well, hopefully he does. They're not a super expensive gift right there. I think Santa should be kind and have those oils. They'll take the place of all that other miniature paint, which is nice. Won't need any of that other stuff. Oh, what the heck? Let's throw a little bit of Prussian blue. So that's another color that, talking about colors supplanting things. That Prussian blue has really started to supplant a lot of the other colors, which is really interesting. Unexpected, to be sure. A little bit more of the actual Prussian blue. I keep wanting to call it phthalo blue because that's kind of what it's sort of, well, it hasn't necessarily taken the place of it, but it's trying to, that's for sure. It's trying to make its presence known. They want to see the Sigvald, so hyped about that, and can't imagine what someone could do with that. Now, is that that was all part of that same reveal right there where they showed off Treebeard and everything else? And I'm guessing that is, what is that, 2021 sort of a release there? Let's see. Oh, Bonham just finished the armor and oils on the Indomitus. And Darka went with cobalt, teal, phthalo turquoise, and magenta. Actually, how did you like the cobalt teal? Did it have what's the word we're looking for? Did it have some decent sticking properties to it? Because sometimes cobalts have a tendency to, well, not stick at all to anything, and just have a tendency to be a little bit on the weaker side. So I'm really curious to see maybe what you found. Just want to make sure that's not a piece of flash right there. Okay, no, that's genuine. I was just looking at that going, is that maybe some flash in there? I should double check. Yeah, it definitely is a little bit more. It's a little bit streaky. Okay, all right. That's not a huge surprise. That's actually really. I expected it to almost be much more streaky. And yes, obviously, if we want to have this be a bit of a glow here, we'll some of that pop onto his chapeau here, onto his hair, a little bit onto his robe again. If you wish to have light, you must have dark. We pretty much established the dark. Okay, have a good sleep there, Asmodee. Potentially, we might still be around when you get up, but for sure, Monday is the next planned session, and I'm hoping to be working on the Balrog. That's the plan. If not, we might just be painting the Gandalf from that set. It's the Khazad-dûm set. I got really lucky and actually found one of the original ones still in the box, still in shrink wrap, no less. It almost felt a little bit bad trying to dig it out of there. Does stickiness thing make sense? I couldn't figure it out as I was painting. So same preview, okay. Let's see. What Space Marines? What are Space Marines perfect for oils? Oh, Zip Zap, well, here we got a Space Marine, especially those Primaris guys. There's just 1,000 open spaces that are super easy to paint. I mean, heck, even this Sigmarine was really easy to paint with the oils, because I mean this is basically a fantasy Space Marine. I mean, I don't know how many people have used these for Terminators. Just maybe giving them some power weapons or something like that, or power fist or whatever, and just called him a Terminator. I think we got all caught up. Okay. But yeah, I kind of just got away from the cobalts because they had a tendency to, well, they kind of have a tendency to stay wet for longer, and they have a little tendency to be shiny. And once I found stuff like indigo and now, well, the Prussian blue, those kind of colors, they just don't really need them so much. I'm going to try a light, kind of a grayish color. So we've got our light source light here, but I want to try and get some regular ambient light over there, if we can. And even on this thing, I don't want to just be all straight up white. I'm going to get just a little bit of something gray on the end of that, just to knock it down just a pinch. And then we're going to grab something here to do some blending with. We'll just grab this one here. Set him this way. Do a pinch of blending here. Let's get some of that paint off of there. And do the same over here. Just kind of soften some of that up. Let's do some over here now. We have plenty of lights and darks yet to establish in his robe. We're just kind of getting things started here, but there's, again, some folks would be really, really happy with just that. Oh, Inner Excellence, yeah, we should be here for a little while, that's for sure. We got We have a lot to do. There is so much to do. Yeah, we're only an hour in here. Yeah, it's just a mere hour. That is just nothing. I think yeah, it's like the difference between dog ears and people ears. We paint in dog ears here, I think. No, no, that's right. We paint in people ears. Everybody else is working on dog ears. We'll just make that a little bit light. And now here it's just going to mix with what's already there. This is why I don't have to, this is why there's no layering with the oils, right? I'm just taking whatever the heck is on this brush here. I'm just going to just put a couple of brush strokes out here. Let it mix with whatever's sitting on the surface here. There's some pre-glaze on there still. There's some of that sort of a tan color. There's some of the Egyptian violet that's in there. But it's all starting to mix here together. Every so often I'll switch out that lighter color for something else. Oil years, there you go, Bill. It's in oil years. Or ent years. Yeah, I think ent years, one ent year is, would you say about half of an age or something like that? I would think that one ent year is at least a good 200 human years, something like that. I don't know who lives longer, ents or elves. Couple more lights there. Oh, see, this is the other thing we have to start doing in some of our fabric here, is getting that multi-layered fabric like that. See, we'll have to be sculpting some of that. We sort of did that. Which was the guy? It was this guy here. Yeah. So see that kind of zigzag pattern in the fold there? What do you see here? What do you see? We're starting to work into this. Now it's on a wider scale because it's a cloak being fluttered in the wind here. But that same thing where the cloth is folded over itself. Oh, that's his staff there. Okay, that's one bendy staff. That is a very bendy staff. Oh, okay. I think we're caught up now on that chat. Now we'll take some of this here and we'll try to blend that a little bit. And you can see a little bit of that purple sneaking in there. Just a little bit of it. Nice gentle brush. Look where our hand is too, right? Not crushing the brush. Well, I mean, he is an old guy. Sometimes things are little less straight when you get older. So, I mean, that's being a Maiar and all is great, except when you get sent back to Middle Earth. Oh, Armored Wolf, I meant to send you a link to it was a History of the Ages, I think. No, it was it was History of the Ages, and they were contemplating were all the wizards considered failures, or was Gandalf rewarded for kind of or did he purposely sacrifice himself so that he would sort of be kind of turned into the bionic wizard and maybe be allowed to use his full powers? That maybe he wanted to be. The idea was that he would come back there looking all kind of shambles, and they'd say, "Oh, I guess we need to actually let you guys use some more of your powers there." Okay, here you come back and you can use some more. Basically, instead of going back to the Valar, he was sent to Iluvatar himself, and it was Iluvatar that said, "All right, dude, fine, go ahead, use some more power, just don't go crazy with it." He used a couple of Gandalf quotes to sort of insinuate that maybe he had been sent to Iluvatar instead of just the Valar. Hey, Mose, how you doing? because there's something in the quote that he said. That in some ways kind of sounds like the halls of Iluvatar as opposed to just going to get chewed out by the Valar. And that apparently, Saruman actually his essence tried to go back to the Valar, and they just said, "Nope, you're out of here, dude." Here, why don't we throw a couple of more lights on this side of his hat too? Again, that's more of your ambient light as opposed to any kind of reflected light or illumination there. But you can see it doesn't take very long. Double bamboozled will turn all who oppose him into the toads. Yep, so this right here, this is actual Gandalf. It's not Schmandalf. Because Schmandalf is our resident fireman right here. Anytime he sees something like, anytime he sees something like this, we call him out and he's like, shh, and he's going to put all that stuff out because that's what he does. It's like, I am the fireman. I'm a real wizard, not that other little pretender dude. Yeah, Schmandalf calls Gandalf just a poser. That's all Gandalf is to him. Let's see. Oh yeah, Kathy had some series of books where like Caesar and all these other folks, they were all kind of together down there, and they form into some kind of superhero war bands down there and try and fight their way out or something like that. I wonder if that's. I don't really read any. I've never actually read Lord of the Rings, so yeah, never read it. I think I read 2 paragraphs where Faramir was interacting with Sam and Frodo. That's about it. That is my extent of all Lord of the Rings reading. So Mose, I hope everything is going good for you. I was happy that earlier today, I actually got to eat turkey because Kathy made that earlier today. The pumpkin pie that she was working on last night, some of that got consumed as well. So it finally actually felt like Thanksgiving here, which that was cool. Yeah, Arathu, here the only books that you read were non-fiction, strictly non-fiction books. So that's hence all the historical stuff and astronomy and architecture. Those the books that I had and that I read were on ships, astronomy, architecture, history. I'm sure that I already had a copy of Shattered Sword. Actually, the first book I can remember reading, I was something like 8 years old, and it was a book on the Civil War, and it was illustrated, but it was illustrated all with those what were they, the ink cut prints that they used in the newspapers. Yeah, not even photographs. It was all those oh gosh, what were they? Where they would carve out the illustration in wood and print that. So we're starting to give him a little deference on his beard. Hey, Sky King and Glacius, how are you doing? Oh, let's see. Rathu got his first Lord of the Rings books when he was 10 at the thrift shop. So Gladiator, this is actually really, really, really simple. Now, actually, it's easier. It can be even easier than this. Believe it or not, it can be easier than this. Now, what it originally was, so see, we got a thick piece of Sculpey right here. This is a bakeable clay. But actually, the easier way to do it now, because we didn't know about this back then, is bulletin board cork. Look at this stuff. Does that not look just like rocks? It looks so much like rocks that, well, we use that all the time for our bases here. So let me find you a nice little example of that. Here we go. So these are also bulletin board cork. That same cork with an ice theme. Here's that same bulletin board cork with a lava theme. cheap old bulletin board cork. That is all that it is, and nothing else. And there's so many other things that you can do with that. You can pile it into some more layers there. This is another example of some more layers of that bulletin board cork with some Sculpey on top of it. Oh, thanks, Double Bamboozled. Yeah, I love doing the basing. Here's some more. So that's tree bark. There's bulletin board cork there. Also, bulletin board cork there. We're back to some tree bark over here, and then tree bark over there. And of course, with the Sculpey style basing, and we like to show these up. Where's my third one here? There should be a third one sitting around here. Where did you go? Oh, I know where they are. I think she is over here. So that same Sculpey idea, that's just a sheet of Sculpey, but you paint it 3 different ways. You get 3 very different themes here. So Sister of Battle, Cipher Lords, and that's Holy Orders, actually, from Wild West Exodus there. And here's another example again of that's the bulletin board cork with just a couple little skelly friends for Fred Harold, the King of the Dead, and his heralds. Harold and the heralds. Let's see. I wish you had the Hellboy minis to show. Oh yeah, all I have is all I got is the MCP figures. But this one was fun because that was kind of that crazy turquoise optic source lighting. This is actually on all the MCP or Marvel Crisis Protocol. Those are on the YouTube channel. Vecnot, I'm just getting it off of Amazon, but I'm sure you could find it at any kind of office supply store, Office Depot. What was the Office Max? Any of those type of places should have something like that. I would really be surprised if they didn't also have bulletin board cork. It was there was a certain it was some kind of cut ink block. They basically took wood and they just carved out the illustration, and then that's what they used for printing. And there was a specific, and they still do it. They still do that type of printing today where you carve out the illustration out of wood, and then you print that up. And I can't remember what the heck it's called. And there is your link to it. So Glacius, I hope that you are doing well on this Saturday. Yeah, unfortunately for me, reading is definitely out. I can't even listen to, books on tape, because, well, I'm either filming or streaming. There's just no way I can listen to anything, unfortunately, because I'm always either filming or streaming or doing something where I can't be listening to even books on tape, which is a bummer, but I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Let's get this a little lighter, and then we want to get some mud effects down here too, right? And then the other book that I can remember reading, oh my gosh, probably 36 times when I was probably even in grammar school, was a book on the Battle of Midway, of course. Must have read that book, oh my gosh, dozens and dozens of times. Absolutely love that. Let's get some darker stuff in here, and we're going to do some glazing here. We're just going to take some of our umber, some of our black here, and we're just going to get some nice, and you can see the capillary, the true capillary action there of the oils getting down to all those little crevices. So yeah, this was just the Sculpey, and all I did was just carve it away with some wood carving tools. That's all. Nice and easy. Let's get back to some of our umber here. Get some of this down on the ends of his cloak, and now we'll just sort of start to blend that into what we already have. So, how long did that take? How long did it take to get sort of a stained look to the end of his robe there? I'm thinking you measure that in seconds and not in hours or even minutes. I think that just took a few seconds. How's about we do the same thing over here on the front side? But the nice thing about that bulletin board cork is that you can also make individual rocks out of it. It's not just, you don't have to only have it in a big old sheet. You can make individual rocks out of it, which is really, really, really nice. Because it's super easy. So you got this overhang right here. Look at this. What would happen? Huh? Is that not a nice, large, flat rock that you can glue right to a base there? Huh? None too shabby, right? Look, we have another one right. Look at that. It's like a natural. Oh, here's another one. Where's there you are. So this is just bulletin board cork right here. Obviously with some was a vampire count bits there, but that's all that is. It's just bulletin board cork. These smaller rocks right here, that's just that bulletin board cork that's been peeled away. And then we threw some of our texture paste in there too. Obviously we got some skulls in there, but yeah, this was all just a bulletin board cork. That's all it is, and it gives us a nice little setting for our miniature there. And I think that, oh, here's another. Again, that's just tree bark. Simple tree bark, a little, I think it's a resin barrel from Secret Weapon Miniatures, some Green Stuff World foliage there, and poof, nice. Oh, and somebody was working if oils work for sci-fi things. Well, you can't get much more sci-fi than that. And that was done in oils. Ooh, okay. Well, how's about this? We haven't done one of these yet. Ah, look at that. So you can see everything kind of registers and reads, but what don't you see anymore? You don't see any of the oranges. So when this comes back, take a look at how the gray starts to recede and then all the orange, those orange accents come out. The orange accents that you see. Yeah, let's go back to our black and white here and let's go to Schmandoff. So look at his hat. And look at the back of him here. It basically looks like a bunch of different shades, right? No big deal. Well, until all of a sudden that color starts coming back, right? And it comes back and look at that. Your eye is drawn to this. Even though these are warmer colors, technically your eye should be looking at these. Your eye looks at this. Why? Because that's more saturated. Same thing over here. This is saturated color. That's all desaturated color. That's all desaturated. And that's when people talk about boost the contrast, you should say to them, okay, so which contrast? Value contrast? Here, let's do that. So we're starting to get ourselves some decent value here, right? Or is it color contrast? Or is it temperature contrast? Something blue versus something warmer here, and that's even warmer over here. So what kind of contrast are we talking about? See, another miniature painter painted while having monochrome glasses on. It became really funky. Now, Angry Ham, when I filmed the original video for Schmandoff, that Dark Sword wizard there, that was done, it was filmed in black and white. Now, that the palette camera was still in color, so and I said what colors I was using, but it was all basically filmed in black and white until about 50 minutes in when all of the color was revealed. So that was pretty darn fun doing that. That was a real unique video, that's for sure. Had an absolute blast with that one. And yeah, it was about 47 minutes into it, something like that. And then I turned all the color back on. And wow, did it really, that revealed quite a bit. I was surprised myself because, yes, I was looking at the miniature, but whenever I'm doing videos or
Hello,
even
little
this,
hobbits. Spark my ganja.
oh, thanks, Glacius, for the follow. The when I'm doing that, I'm looking at the screen a lot because I want to make sure that the miniature's on camera for you and that sort of thing, and so that you can actually see what the heck is going on. And I'm looking up at that thing, and all I see is black and white. That's all I was seeing too. That's kind of how it was registering to me, which is pretty darn funny. Here, let's throw it just another little sharp line. That's another type of contrast. There's also edge contrast. So what's the big deal with edge contrast? Well, you don't want a lot of edge contrast here. You want edge contrast over here. So guess what? We're going to build up that edge contrast a little bit more. We're making it even sharper. Why? Because your brain sees that. And it's kind of like the three, and Mike Disney knows this, being an illustrator and artist extraordinaire. The universal signature or whatever for cartoon glass is the three lines. Well, when you see a bunch of sharp, straight lines like this right next to each other with hard edges, that to you says a hard surface, like metal, like stone or glass or whatever, something that is a hard surface. So I take a little bit of my umber, starting to throw that into some of these edges. It doesn't just darken it down, it gives it also, it warms it up a little bit.
Little hobbits. Spark my ganja.
Oh, thank you so much for that follow. Double bamboozle. Thank you. Thank you. Angry Ham. So I might want to go with you as the painter, also having the monochrome glasses on, letting Kathy put up a color palette, which would be many kinds of fun. Yeah, now are the monochrome glasses, I mean, all kidding aside, are they sort of an instructional thing for, say, folks that are going to be working with folks that might be colorblind? Because, I mean, what better way to try and go, oh, okay, well, let's find some way for folks that are colorblind to be able to figure out what they're looking at. And we will just make people that can see color temporarily not be able to see color. Yeah, Megan, Mike's, he got a level, he was one of the, he started a Blitzkrieg. He started a Blitzkrieg, which led to a level 5 hype train. Yeah, we had a level 5 hype train going in here. There was all kinds of mayhem. There was an actual train. Oh, let's see. I think we're all caught up on chat, right? Hopefully so. I'm going to get myself a little bit of couple of lights over here on these folds. So when I get back to my regular sculpting, not just conversion sculpting, but I want to actually do just regular actual sculpting. Looking forward to getting into that. I definitely want to have something that involves these multiple folds like that. Fabric folded over fabric, because that would be super fun. The ones I know of lets you see red, all the red. Yeah, that would painting object source lighting, wearing infrared glasses. So yeah, look at that umber did right there. See if we can't get some of that on this side. And nope, that's not the one. We want to use one of our micro filberts here. And that's actually sort of on the dry-ish side. Let's get some of that off of there. See how that just kind of stains that so gently? It's not like it's hard to do this with acrylics. But, well, since oils just makes everything easier, and Mike Disney, he knows that because he was playing around with his oils on the Artisan Guild. Oh gosh, I just call it the cold one. It was like a dark elf on cold one. And he was really rocking that. So, Mike, I hope that you've been having some fun on some subsequent miniatures. I've seen a couple of Instagram posts there. of late with some fun things on it. You know what, let's actually get a little bit of a umber up here too. Yeah, his hat's blue and all that. Let's give that a little bit of this umber, which is going to almost turn it more towards the gray. I mean, he is Gandalf the Grey after all. We'll darken up the point of his hat and start to maybe focus that light a little bit here, like right in that area. Just maybe, we're going to get some more of the paint out of that dirt brush. And all it is just we're wiping on a paper towel. That's literally all we're doing. Now we got ourselves a whole lot less paint, and where we got these crazy little dots right here. We don't want little dots. We want something more like that. We want something smooth like that. There. And that is just so easy right there. Look at that. Yeah, I've had to waste a whole bunch of time with acrylics doing that. And for me, if it takes 10 minutes to do something that could just take seconds, well, that's a whole bunch of time that I could have had doing something else. For regular folks, maybe that's not quite such an urgent thing, but when every second counts, well, actually every second kind of counts for you guys too, because you usually have a bazillion other things to do during your day. And I'm guessing that miniature painting probably gets relegated to an hour or two a day, or maybe an hour or two a week. So guess what? Time just as important for you guys, maybe more so than it is for me. Well, that is if you ever want those armies painted. So here, if that is going to be some kind of light source, guess what? We got to have some more dark over here. I'm just going to take some of that asphaltum, some of that red. It's not quite like a non-metallic metal thing here. Hey, Thaler, how you doing? I hope that your Saturday treated you well. That this was a little bit of an unusual Saturday here. It was basically a Thanksgiving for us. It was a rare Saturday Thanksgiving. But hey, I'll take it over no Thanksgiving. And there was yummy turkey, there was pumpkin pie, there was stuffing, there was all of that stuff that we didn't have on Thursday. So that was really cool. And that's what I'm going to be having tomorrow, and the next tomorrow, and the next tomorrow, and the tomorrow after that. Now, Thaler is trying to get those armies ready for paint. That is, well, that's what we're trying to do with our Easterlings here. We are trying to. Now, I am going to have to get a box of infantry here, because I've determined I have a Dragon Knight. I actually have the Dragon Knight miniature on foot, so I don't necessarily need one of those. But I've got to get something for Amdur, and I think something for the... Well, no, I technically have the Amdur as well, but I'd rather have my Amdur, which is hilarious. I would rather have my own Amdur. I'll catch you later, Angry Ham. I'm going to do some basing tomorrow. Oh, yeah, Angry Ham. I mean, every base is was it legally required to have skulls on it. So yeah, you are just fulfilling the legal requirement of basing that it must have skulls on it. So never feel bad about skulls. So yeah, the latest video that I did, part of that, the conversion process for one of my 3 Easterlings was on there. And it's a new thing that I've tacked on to the Army Painter pledge level. It's something called supplementing your armies. And that is part of that video was me. Now, of course, we've been working on these a little bit, but imagine there was even less done on this thing. And in about 23 minutes, we took it to this. And that's what we're going to be doing later tonight is we're going to be painting some more of our non-Black Dragon archers. We got 2 of those guys to do tonight. Now we're starting to re-infuse this with the with a few darks in some very specific areas here. And I know it's all the rage today to put texture on things, so what we could do is we could start to stipple some things on here. Literally just a whole bunch of stippling brush strokes here. If we feel like that needs a bit of texture, we'll maybe grab some Van Dyke Brown here. And we'll start to throw in some texture here. And let's do that here. It's not just about making that darker, but yeah, that little bit of stippling texture we're throwing in there. All of a sudden now it's not like he's wearing gray silk robes now or anything. Somewhere I've got, where's my other Gandalf? Ooh, I also have one of these guys. So I do have one of these. So this is the last surviving Galadrim elf here. And this is another color scheme that I wanted to determine, because do I want to do my snow-based elves? Because I've never based any Lord of the Rings figure in snow, except just for the fun of it. I think there was actually a couple of my Easterlings that I based in snow just for fun, not for an army or anything like that. So it could be interesting to have some winter elves, or at least some fall elves. That's what they'll be. Yeah, fall elves, lots of leaves on the ground. That'll be good. So we're extending this up, but we're also adding a little bit of texture to it. We'll do the same over here again. That's some of our Van Dyke Brown. Hey, Backlog Battles, how are you doing? And again, once again, where's my hand? It's way the heck back here. It's not up here. You can't do this with a death grip on the brush. You have to be nice and gentle on the brush. Look at my one finger is resting on my thumb here. So Backlog, we are finally painting not Schmandorf. Yeah, this is not Schmandorf the Grey here, instead of Schmandorf the not Grey. We're going to do a little bit of our, just a hint, tiny hint of the lighting effect on him there. That's about it. Now, if we want a lighting effect over here, guess what we got to do? This has to be darker. If you want to have light, you must have dark. Ah, Rathu, that would be, yeah, those guys would be especially fun with all the snow and everything. Yeah. Well, when you look at a map of Middle-earth and you say, okay, the Easterlings, they're not from Harad, they're not from the south. They're from the northeast. They're from Boston. I mean, that's where they're from. They're from New England. They're like from Massachusetts or something. They're from Vermont. Maybe that's where the elves would be from Vermont, because they're in the northwest too. And then the Easterlings, they would be like from Connecticut or Boston or something. Boston elves, there we go. At least I now well rested to catch the rest. Yeah, Backlog Battles, you didn't miss too much. We're an hour and a half in. But of course, we have tons of archers that we want to do yet. And who knows? Now that I just remembered this, we might do a test. We might do a test color scheme on this guy here. And then, of course, I just had him over here. There he is. Of course, we've got our Gandalf and Shadowfax over here. So he's like, nice horse there, dude. Well, where's your saddle? Let's see, who was from the western half of the U.S.? Well, I would say that Dol Amroth is definitely, they would be probably something along the lines of, Sacramento, or maybe like San Francisco or something like that. Yeah, or maybe even Los Angeles. Oh, they would be from L.A., that's right. They would either be from like San Diego or L.A. or something like that. That's where Dol Amroth would be from. Then Umbar would probably be Oh, I don't know. Well, not Cancun. That's the eastern part. I think that would have to be more like Baja. Yeah, the Corsairs, they're from Baja, California. That's where they're from. You know what? We can't have two things that are light here. Yeah, like Glacier says, we don't need a saddle where we're going. So see, we darken that down. Look, his beard shows up a little bit here. Well, I would say the Rocky Mountains. That's possibly maybe where Minas Tirith is. That's maybe where Minas Tirith is. I'm not quite sure. Well, let's see. Maybe where would Arnor be? That would probably be something like Seattle or Vancouver, something like that. Might be Fornost or whatever. Maybe I don't know, Edmonton or something. That would be Fornost. Which I also found another. I found all these old white dwarfs. Fantastic old white dwarfs. We're talking from 2006, 2007. Some fabulous old white dwarfs. And this one right here has this amazing campaign where with Harad fighting Candish guys. So yeah, this is Harad versus Cand. And actually we'll be trying to construct something like this on stream here. But yeah, there's Cand and there's Harad. And yes, I'm just calling them my candy canes. Yeah, we'll just call Harad, we'll just call them candy canes. Because, that sounds really tough. That sounds very tough and threatening. Now I'm going to get some more of that texture over here, but maybe not all just with that black, right? How's about we take a little bit of our cadmium yellow and mix that with our ivory black and turn it into a weird, almost like nurgly, dirty green. Yeah, cadmium yellow deep, ivory black. Give it a shot. For all you Nurgle folks out there, you might really like what you end up with there. It's a really nasty green. Now, so backlog battles would probably be a Gondorian. I'm not quite sure what Chicago would count as. I don't know. It might have to be. Well, let's see. Anything along the Mississippi River could just be Rivendell. Maybe something like Ohio is going to be your Lothlorien or something like that. Maybe West Virginia is going to be the what would be the Dead Marshes? I don't know. Durgal Green. There you go. Because it's right here. It's sitting right there, and that is all that is cadmium yellow deep and some ivory black, and it's a pretty vicious green. And I think actually all you Nurgle folks would absolutely love that. Instead of just like buying that color, just mix it. So you're going to see his cloak is going to have more and more texture as we get to it here. More and more texture. I can still see some of that purple that I threw into his robes a while back. Nessie knows, well, it's perfect, right? Because that's where the lake burns. And don't the dead marshes have those little candle flames? Oh, that's the board that we want to make. Yes, what I have to do is I have to cast a bunch of casualties. I have to make casualties, then cast them, and then sink them underneath some water effects. See, I'm liking that Durgal green. Yeah, look at that, putting some Durgal green in there. Now, okay, don't mind that having some light hitting it, because, well, we do want that to be our light source, kind of. I'll put a little bit more of my ivory black into that Durgal green here, make it even darker. No, Glacius, I haven't. The only stuff that I've used from GW that you would say is their technical paints would be the Valhallan Blizzard and oh gosh, was it what's the uh it's the Earth stuff. It's the Crackle paint that's the brown color. Is that Battlemire Mud or whatever that one is? That's the only other technical thing that I've used. Don't really have a whole bunch of GW paint here at all. I mean, we got the contrast paints last year because everybody was wanting to see different ways of using the contrast paint, not the same old, same old. So we definitely made a bunch of videos with the contrast paints. We painted Sky Earth non-metallic metal with them. We painted all kinds of stuff. Ah, Nosferatu is a Agrelian Earth. Okay. Yeah, Nosferatu is close enough to Cleveland to confirm that. Was it elves and orcs and men all dead, right? And what does he say? Don't look at the lights. Ah, see, now we're getting some of those even little darker patches. And then what we're going to do is we'll go back in the end and then we'll take our blending brush and smooth those out just a little bit more. Here's a little more. Now we're going to make that a little bit light. It also has to be warmer. I want a warm gray, which means probably taking something like this. That's going to be, maybe we could technically warm that up a bit more. Mostly Van Dyke brown here with a little smidge of our yellowish color. There we go. See how easy it is to just extend that right out. It needed to be A, lighter, B, it had to be more of a, had to be a little bit warmer. Wasn't looking quite warm enough. I want the other side of the blade to just clearly look like it's picking up some sunlight. Oh, and folks, be sure to check out the Armored Wolf Etsy page. Fantastic dice bags, and I mean really fantastic. We have some really fun little things that we are going to be working on in, well, just probably into January, where I do just some painting on the leather, and then the master adds some metal working to it. Obviously does his wonderful stuff with the stitching and adds all the other little accoutrement to it. So we'll have a couple of dice bags with some combination of oil painting on there and some fantastic metal work and leather work and all kinds of fun stuff. Especially for Lord of the Rings, because I want to paint me some Mordor on a dice bag. That's what I want to do. I want to paint Edoras on a dice bag. I don't know, I think people would probably hate Edoras or Mordor on a dice bag, but hey, I'd like it. I think you can see now there's a little bit of texture in there, but look at all the different colors. There's almost like a reddish brown there. There's like our Durgal green. There's even some purple over here. So we're getting all kinds of different colors. Oh, I'm sure that Armored Wolf can easily make you a Blood Angels bag. Actually, he's got some really, speaking of Nurgle, or Durgal, he's got a fantastic Nurgle dice bag underway. I've been seeing all the tooling on the leather and then some of the painting on that. Since there were just these little dots right here, it starts to give that old texture, doesn't it? Instead of just flat. I mean, there's nothing wrong with flat and smooth. And this is the thing with the oils, right? We are not just gently layering up. We threw in some lighter color there for a reason, because we're going to come back in here with our brush that has no paint now. And so we're just going to scummel this. Look at that. Not a sharp line anymore. Look at this. Sharp line here. And not a sharp line anymore. That's all gone. There's still a little bit of a line there, but now it's got texture. It's broken up. We'll do this some more. And this looks really light here, but guess what? It is not the lightest color. You could clearly have lighter colors than this. Easily have lighter colors than that. So we throw a little bit of light color there. Now we'll get the paint off the brush once again. And we blend it in. It's just that easy. Is that just so easy? So simple? I mean, maybe not so simple. That might be a little bit facetious right there, but I've had to do stuff like this in acrylics, and I know that it takes a whole lot more work in acrylics. See, the reason I just don't really like the white light is because there's no life to it whatsoever. But, I mean, white light is what we're looking for here. So let's see if we can really crank that up even more here. Let's try and crank that white light up even more. Oh, Warcry bag. Yes. Clearly Cypher Lords. Yes. Or I'm thinking probably some Corvus Cabal. That would be my guess for you. See, now we're starting to insert a little bit more light there, but I put some darks here first. Right, needed some darks there first. I'm going to see if I can't move this. I think right about here maybe is where some of the brightest light would hit. And I'm also trying to think about a little bit of texture there too. Little smidge of texture on that. Couple of dots. No big deal, because we can always go back and then we can fade that texture out. But I think his hat, everything he was wearing had a whole bunch of texture to it. See, that's more texture on his hat now. Little teeny tiny speckles of texture. Look at that, see? Oh, it's these smaller bags for Warcry. Oh, that's actually Armored Wolf. That would be a good idea for Lord of the Rings bags too. Because Lord of the Rings, well, you've seen the size of those dice blocks. There's only 8 dice in there. Now they're bigger dice. And you would probably have, well, I mean, now I have, even as extensive as my Lord of the Rings dice collection is, I only have probably maybe 50 dice or something like that top. That would be everything. I mean, heck, don't those little mini dice blocks come with 30 of them in there? Okay, so now we've got ourselves some light hitting that. Let's see if we can illuminate maybe some parts of his hand here. Like his thumb catching some light. Oh my goodness, I forgot about the cards. Well, actually, Lord of the Rings. Oh God, I don't even think they sell those cards anymore, do they? For Lord of the Rings? That's the other thing I'd hoped to get. Oh well. I'm sure those are all sold out. Long since gone. Okay. Yeah, so now we got a little bit of illumination on his hand there. I'm trying to sneak in just a little bit here on his hair and his beard, just to make that look even more maybe in shadow. Now I gotta go back to this warmer light color. Gonna mix it with a little asphaltum here. A little more asphaltum. It's almost kind of a, I don't want to say a pinkish color, but That's a little bit lighter than, and also a different tone. So what was underneath there was more of a greenish gray. This is more of a reddish gray, and we're just like in this one area here. That's it. Oh, Paint Miniatures is back. Watching the Schmandorf. Yes, this is Schmandorf the not gray, and this is not Schmandorf the actual gray. Yeah. It's kind of fun getting a chance to paint this because I don't think I ever got a chance to paint this figure. Out of all the Lord of the Rings stuff that I did, I'm not sure. I think I got to paint a Gandalf once. Now, if this was in the original Fellowship set, then maybe I did get to paint this. But if this was not like in the original Fellowship set from 2002 or whatever, then I've never had a chance to paint this one before. Oh, and Paint Miniatures, I did realize too, I've got one of my Galadrim here, and I want to also try and set a color scheme for this. Now, I do have my old Galadrim and the color scheme that I did for them. Part of me is tempted to do that scheme again because it was different from what you normally see for elves. Let's see, try my oils. So in oils, yes. Is it not so much easier to paint miniatures? I mean, is it incredible just how it makes things so much easier? How's about some texture here too? We have a bunch of, yeah, let's do some texture here. Again, there's a bunch of little stippling. See that? See, as it starts to look more like some thread there. Because I tried doing, oh gosh, what the heck figure was it? I forget what the figure was, but I did some texture, some stitching on them, and it was interesting to do it. Oh, it was a Dark Sword figure. That's it. Oh, that's what I should try. This was the other thing I wanted to do on this one. Yeah, it's about greens, but I was hoping to maybe do something like lace. Yeah, something with lace on this thing. This would also make an interesting Galadriel figure too, wouldn't it? Yeah. Of course, the mirror pool diorama. Oh, no, we're still too close in to show the mirror pool diorama. I'm just intrigued at how easy it just. You'd figure there would be some techniques. Okay, it makes that easier, but it doesn't make this other thing easier too. And then you realize, well, it kind of does. So many ways, and this is I'm not surprised that actually it makes this texturizing easier here. And that's not a huge surprise, but see now all of a sudden we have all these extra folds in here. And think of how this miniature is potentially 19 years old. Because this is not something like a miniature that was just cast 4 or 5 years ago and just been sitting around. This was probably purchased 18, 19 years ago and has just been sitting around. Never been painted. The Mud Runner is free on Epic right now if you're into gaming or not. So Galadriel, I've focused a lot. There's been a lot of these lore videos made about Galadriel and that basically that trek that they made across the North Pole, essentially across the Arctic Circle to get to Middle Earth. And she was kind of a rebellious little elf there. And she just figured that she was never going to be allowed back to where the Valar are. She just figured she was never going to be getting back there. But I guess when she passed her test at the mirror pool, that's when I guess she knew that she was going to be allowed back. So we're going to insert some. Now, of course, fortunately, that has diminished a lot. Now, maybe because it's becoming more accepted, maybe that's. Again, I don't understand why. It boggles the mind. Ooh, we need to get some lights in here. We need to get something lighter in there, and that's going to take the form of a little bit of our, yeah, that's going to be umber mixed with a little bit of our yellow. Yeah, they're paint-based counterparts. It's just now on Facebook, there's all these folks I see. They're like, so where's good tutorials for oil paints? And for 4 years, I've been trying to get people to think about them. And when I first got onto Twitch, there was definitely some, oh no, you're not letting that happen here. I was like, not in our backyard. You're not doing that. Which was, I just didn't quite understand why, unless someone must have had a monetary investment or something. Either that or they just had way too much time on their hands. Now I'm also going to get some of my lighter green in here. And that's at starter set green. Literally this green that's right here that I'm using, that I got that 4 years ago and we're still using it today. Still using that today. It has a certain opacity to it. Oh, it's also an important thing here when you see stuff like this. So permanent green, basically what they're trying to do is substitute something for cadmium there. Whenever you see permanent or brilliant or something like that, they're trying to use some other thing that is not cadmium to provide that sort of illumination, that brilliance there. Back to this, and it's just like a very grayed down green here. But again, we're doing the texture thing, right? Doing the texture thing here. Plenty of texture. So I can't believe that it took that long for me to figure out which wizard it was that also had some texture on their cloak. Now, again, I did a dark sword one that had texture on it, but that was in acrylics. And that was the first one that I had a chance to do in oil. So that was back during ReaperCon. I think that was right before or during ReaperCon we painted that one. I'm sure more tubes wouldn't increase the price significantly. Hey, Ryder, let's see. I think we're all caught up. I think we are caught up as I just try to get a couple of more of these mud spatters here. See, we're just gonna couple of teeny tiny. Now I could literally take this and just go like that too. Oils are fantastic for that, especially if you really thin them down. You can really just spatter the heck out of them. All right, I'm right here. Yeah, we're just going to try and get ourselves a couple little spattery type things there and see if we can do that on the other side here too. We got plenty of nice dark stainy stuff here. Yeah, just a couple spatter marks right there. Now, I'm really, it's kind of funny because I'm going to have to paint some of the rest of the fellowship now, which is not really a big deal because I have multiples of all of the fellowship. I've got like 3 versions of Aragorn, like a Strider version. I guess that's still sort of a Strider right there. So I have tons of fellowship. I got 2 Boromirs. I got tons of hobbits, so we have plenty of the fellowship that we can do. I'm not really so much into the fellowship when it comes to like a scenario of them being played, because we've seen that an awful lot. I sort of like to play the factions or whatever that you don't really see very much. That's why Dol Amroth, Dunlendings, Canned, the Easterlings, where you don't really see too much of that. You see orcs galore. You see them all the time. Let's see. There you go. That's is a new version of the, I guess you call those the three hunters right there. Yeah, let's get some blood spatters onto his coat. Not too much. You go crazy with it. Then you just got too much is too much, and it happens in a hurry. But I'm really glad I did this early on. There's actually almost like a purple color in there. Actually, if you look at the reference pictures here, now I'm looking at those, there's definitely a lot of the same greens and grays on that as there are on here, so that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. Got to figure out the I need some more darks here on the back of the staff. I'm gonna use some of this Fulton because that's got some reddish hint to it. Not radish. It's not a radish, but it has some reddish color to it. Ah, there we go. That was just a little bit too light. How in the world does the staff get to be that light on that end? So that's a little better. Maybe, you know what? That should be in shadow as well. That's better. And now it starts to make a little more sense. Okay. Yeah, I like that better. The oils make it so darn easy to adjust, right? Don't they make it so easy to adjust? Oh, let me see. We're looking for sculpting tools. Valfera finally had a chance to watch the GSW metal pigments and can't wait to see the one on the floral pigments, especially with all the cyberpunk minis. You know, I'm going to have to give that a try. Yeah, there's a ton of them too. There's like twice as many floral dry pigments as they made the metals, which is really weird. Now apparently also there is like a gunmetal color. They've already released that, I guess. Maybe that was their first one and they decided to do a line of them. So apparently there is a silver one, but not a light silver one. But I guess we'll try and oh, you know what? Valfera, what if we were to let's see, we were going to be doing this. What if we use that as a pre-glaze? Right? If that stuff is opaque in any way, shape, or form, we could use that as our pre-glaze for doing object source lighting and then paint over the top of it with the oils. Ah, what about that? Maybe we should give that a try. Let's see, since I wish you had people to play with. In the dust. Not the look of it. Owen, the wife, is antique gamer. Yeah, now, what's interesting is, so again, still never have read the Lord of the Rings books, didn't even know what it was. When we went into the movie theater, I believe it was December of 2001. And Kathy insisted, she said, we are going to see the Lord of the Rings movies. And I said, Lord of what? What are you even talking about? I had no clue. I'd never heard of it before. Nary a clue of what it was. But just the timing of it and everything else, it was very perfect. I don't have any of the childhood memories that I know a lot of folks have. Reading the books with their parents or fun things like that. That's definitely was not part of any childhood thing for me. It was more of an adult memory, which was very cool. Oh, Sinstar again. It's not like I wouldn't want to read the book. There's just there is no time for me to do anything like that. Unfortunately. I know that there were some folks that didn't mind, the alterations that sort of kind of had to be made. And there was other ones, well, maybe they didn't quite need to make that. I'm just glad that there was such thing as the movies because, well, it yielded this. I don't think we ever would have had this if it wasn't for the movies. So there would be no Lord of the Rings games without the movies, so I am grateful. I am very grateful. I'm also grateful for Terra Rosa, and I'm going to use that right now. I'm serious. We used to fight over Terra Rosa at the art store back in the art school days. Oh my goodness. There would be physical confrontation over Terra Rosa. Now here I'm actually going to, if I can, see if I can't reflect a little teensy bit of the gold hilt of that sword. There it is. See that? Just a little teeny hint of that. Ah, yes, 30 pages to describe a grassy hill. Let's see. Oh God, now that just made me think of, hopefully he also wouldn't take 30 pages to describe a gassy hill, which that would be, I suppose, more like me. Now let's get a bit of, yeah, let's get some lighting underneath this here. I just needed to let that paint sit under there, because I tried doing some stuff there and it just, nothing would stick. And now it does. I just had to wait like 2 hours ish, and now the paint sticks there. So essentially this thing right here had no paint on it, and because again we've been painting some other things in the meantime and having hype trains and such, this is about 2 hours and 5 minutes, I want to say. Would you not want to get something like this in 2 hours and 5 minutes? We ask the masses, would you not want to be able to do something like that in a couple of hours, essentially? I'm pretty sure most of the answers would be yes. We would certainly like to be able to do that in a little over 2 hours as we add some more of our reddish brown, not radish. Ah, see, now we have some separation there. And we're really going to show that when we do something like, oh, that. Time for some noir, yes. Now he's really Gandalf the Grey. He's Gandalf the many grays. Or mini grays. So here you don't see the magenta there. You don't see the blue there. You don't see that greenish color in his hat. You don't see all the fun different colors in his robes. You see shading. And look, that looks like it's illuminated, right? Because those, look at the rest of the highlights. With the exception of that sword tip, that is where your biggest concentration of lightest colors is going to be, right there where your light source is. We bring back the color intensity, and now we got the rest of our, look at that. The green, the purple in his tunic or whatever there. I guess that would be his robe, not his cloak. And now in the cloak you see all the greens. Remember our dirty green color that we put in here? The gassy knoll, that's right. Yeah, that's pretty much, I could cosplay that very easily. I might actually do a little bit more with this here. Somehow I think we have discussed that before, well, especially when there's the chocolate-covered raisins around. Yeah, see, that's another little addition to it. You know what? I might have to do some of that over here too. Yeah, I'm just going to touch that with my hand, take away a little bit of the extra. Just looking for some different... Ooh, what about there? And oh gosh, yeah, here on the sword, we have a big old blob there. See that? It's sometimes, and this is even sometimes true with acrylics. When you try and do a highlight, that lighter color is thicker in general. What you do is you throw that lighter color on there, and then you take your darker color and you literally whisk some of it away. That's how you kind of sharpen up your line there. Let's see, then it might be best appreciated via video. Well, Arj, usually we call those, let's just say in some of the videos there are certain Easter eggs that are hidden in there. And I've always wondered if anybody could ever spot those. Let's get a little bit of our lighter orange under there. And by lighter orange, I mean nowhere near as light as that. That's the super light orange there. This is more of almost like an amber type of a color here. Do I need to fish some more of that down? That's about as much as I can do there. Yeah, don't want to do any more than that. So the benefit of having this yellow reflected onto this is that dark indigo blue really looks nice and dark. Yeah, I was kind of bummed about the demise of Wild West Exodus and all that, because we had some serious cosplay plans for that. I had a whole Wild West Exodus outfit. I was going to make that out of Warbler. That was going to be fabulous. I would have loved that, but sadly that is no more. What does need to happen a little bit more, though, is, boy, I almost wanted to call it phthalo blue. So Prussian blue, I gotta say, is it's sort of kind of been displacing our cerulean and phthalo blue. It's like it's taken out two colors with one. Oh, here's something we haven't done. Good grief. There's no texture back here. We gotta do something here. Oh, thanks, Velfera. This is now, and again, this is not normally the way I work. On one figure, normally there's dozens, and I'm literally just chucking him aside, grab another one, chuck that aside, grab another one. It's a little bit easier for people. I just noticed over the course of doing the Twitch stuff that it's a little bit easier for people if I just try to stick to one figure at a time. It's tough for people that are kind of, well, they step away. They have to go into lurk mode or something like that. It's really tough if I'm bouncing around between a half dozen figures over the course of an hour. So that kind of makes things a little bit easier for people. Back to a little more texture over there. It's super subtle. I'm not trying to make any massive amounts of texture there, but we got texture everywhere else. Why not some here? Tons and tons of tiny little texture there. I don't think I want to go any lighter than that. I might actually want to go a little darker. And I'll use indigo for that. So yeah, thanks to the kind donation of Damiel, at some point in December you are going to see a whole nother type of paint that I've never used before. I've never even heard of it before. But more than one person had asked about it, if I'd ever used it, if I'd given it a try. And he basically said, well, here's the funds, go get it, let us see it. So that stuff is on its way, along with a bunch more quadruple zeros. And I think I will still get some more. So that was some more of our dark, dirty-ish green right there. I'm really glad because, well, when it comes to things like these guys here, we are going to be bouncing back and forth for sure between these two guys. So we'll be painting these two guys next. Our notch Schmandorf is almost out of the way here. Now the one thing about the oils is, like here, I can't put my usual landscape materials on there, otherwise we're going to end up with Chia Gandalf. Thank you so much, Cryptic Ninja. Thank you. I get to use this for the first time. The host with the most Royal Guard. You're used to seeing the other guys. Now you get to see some Royal Guard, Ride to Ruin, and the world's ending. And eventually, we'll also have Theoden stuck on there. So yeah, it's like, dude, where'd they go? Where the heck? Oh, over here. Always exit stage left, Theoden. Clearly Gandalf hasn't gotten him out of his little drunken stupor or whatever that was. Paint miniatures, you can never have too many of these guys. But fortunately, we have these, which can take kind of the beating so that these can just kind of do the nice, fine stuff. Yeah, let's put a couple of lighter lights here. Couple lighter lights on these rocks. Just a couple here. Especially like here where the light's gonna be. Who would have thought lighter lights, but where the light's gonna be? What is that all about? Couple of lights here. Maybe even on his sleeve. Maybe here on his finger. And then a couple little wisps of light here. Just along the staff. Yeah, it's a 000. We call them Schmabel brushes because it's sort of a sable. It's not really a true sable, not like a Kolinsky sable, because it's about $4 and 40 something cents, and you're not really going to get an actual sable brush for that. But it's I think they call them red sables or something like that. So instead of maybe fur from the tail, you're getting fur from, I don't know, their leg, their neck, somewhere else on the critter. I mean, these are synthetic, and I love the synthetics because I can literally paint this way with it if I need. And there have been times where I literally was pushing paint this way with one of my synthetic brushes. So I love the synthetics. They let you do a lot of different things that you probably wouldn't want to do with the Series 7. Well, you can't do a lot of things with Series 7s these days because the quality it went from iffy to, oh my goodness, to unusable just in a few years. Now, I'll never buy one again unless I can actually like see one in a store, because I have been disappointed bitterly in the last 3 Series 7s. That's why you don't see me using them on here. Oh, Valfera, these are the exact same brushes I use for acrylics. Even, use these. I've used the Royal Langnickels for acrylics because I just did this one. Where the heck did you go? You're laying down on the job here. Let me grab this guy. Because I did this one a couple of weeks ago. This was in acrylics, and I used all the same brushes. Just did this in acrylics, though. I use the same cleaner. Everything's the same except for the thinner, really. That's it. Everything else is exactly the same. Literally nothing different. Except the fact that the oils are so much more mellow and chill to use. So much more mellow. And all these fun little... I'm going to add just a couple of my lighter hints at texture here again. Look at that. Because you can't get this small. You can't get the paint this small with the acrylics. If I could easily get the paint to be this, see how it's such a fine application there? Acrylics just don't want to do that. That's cool. I thought, everyone always screaming use sable for sharp points. Since actually I don't use mineral spirits, this is really not the greatest cleaner in the world. It's fantastic for thinning the paint. It will clean your brushes, but what actually cleans my wife also uses this for her acrylic stuff. So, because it works well for both, and it was also a nice brush cleaner. Well, and it's a restorer too. But the people were afraid of all the harsh whatevers, and I found that, and I said, well, here, look, just use this. It's made for acrylics. It's not harmful or anything like that. Doesn't have any weird smell to it. Actually, if it has any smell at all, it smells more like, I don't want to say perfume. It almost smells a bit flowery, actually. Yeah, it doesn't have any kind of weird toxic smell or anything like that. But now Sinster, what I used to use for cleaning my brushes was rubbing alcohol. That's what I used to use all the time until people started using it for a lot of weird things this year. And I said, well, I can't get me rubbing alcohol anymore. And I needed to find something else, and that was the something else. Now I'm going to try and get just a few little extra lights in his face here. Let's make his nose a little bigger there. Just, oh, there we go. Like age lines around his face there. Now, ooh, this should be interesting. Ah, we got just enough Fanchon red here. Gonna give him a little bit of a pinker nose. Yeah. We'll make him look a bit more like Santa Claus now. We don't want to make him look like a Gandalf the Lush, but we just want him to have a little bit more of a pinkish nose, I think. And then we'll... There it is over there. I was like, where'd my pink go? I just had it. It's just a different... that's it. Right there. I need to do a little bit more on his face, and here also. Yeah, that's going to be too light. I'm going to go back over here to some umber, because that also is not a bad grayish skin tone. There we go. Okay, Ryder asks, what's the name of the scribing carving tool? Boy, unfortunately I can't reach that tool because I've got some stuff on top of it. Actually, Ryder, that kind of thing, you're going to find it on the Micromark catalog. So Micromark. So MICROMARK. Look on their website. Let's see. The craft store is Windsor Newton stuff. Well, Stila, it looks like you're going to be eating a lot of Korean barbecue. Thought there was a good while when I had to use Everclear for 3D printing because I couldn't find. Wow, that's I don't know how much Jello you also had there too, but that's really an interesting substitute. But I mean, yeah, we've had to all use a lot of weird stuff, haven't we, to try and substitute. Now here's a case where I just looked in there. That can't be dark right there. That little dark blob, that's a no-no. We don't want that there. We're just going to take some white and try and get rid of that. Boom. So easy to get rid of that. We had another one right here, and we're just going to do essentially almost like a pin line wash of white in here. That's better. Thank you. And again here. Now it looks okay. Then we can go back over the top now, because I was looking at that going, not quite what we're looking for. So Ryder, yeah, look in the Micromark catalog, because that's where I got them from. I actually have to look in the Micromark catalog. Well, gee, now they have tons of 3D printing stuff in there. Well, STL file printing, I guess I should say. Well, yeah, I mean, not all printing is 3D printing. But I've got to, I need to get some foam cutting tools if I want to make some of the terrain projects on stream, because sadly cutting them would be a little bit too loud.
So say we all. So say we all.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Thank you for that. He's like, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. He's like, what's with the wizards? You know, Schmandorf is tougher than you. I'm just saying. Better watch out for Schmandorf. So thanks, Dave. I appreciate. Oh, you found it there already. That's a switch from isopropyl to denatured alcohol. It works even better than the ISO. Yeah, a lot of people talk about the denatured ISO there. That is interesting. I've not tried any of that. who knows, at some point might just have to do it because, well, circumstances may require that.
Hello, little hobbit. Spark my ganja.
Thank you so much, Alex, for the follow. Gandalf says thank you too. He says, hello, little hobbit. Do you have some pipe weed? He just goes around asking every hobbit for pipe weed. What's up with that? We could use some stuff under here. Not just all dark. I'm literally just blind. Look at all the blue. See all that darker color on the end of the brush right there? This is where the synthetic brush is helpful because I'm literally just using it on its side. Literally just using that right on its side there. Pushing it this way. I'm not pulling it. I'm pushing it. So it's just amazing what those synthetics can do. Whoops. Wait, we need to, texture time. It's texture time again. Whoops, that's a little too moisturized right there. Oh, what the heck, we're gonna grab a little bit of our dirty green. Throw that in here. And, that's better. I just saw a big old flat blob there. I'm thinking, how can all this texture be everywhere else? And yet in that one spot we have a big old flat blob right there. That's no good. I also have to think about talking about cast shadows. If you're going to have light sources, well, then they also have to be casting shadows too. So that's another. I try to do that wherever I can. Make sure there's a shadow being cast, like here on his hat. That needs to be a little darker, again, where maybe a shadow is cast. Over here, this might need to be darker in there because the light would be casting a shadow there.
Spark my ganja.
On the road to Tiamat, thank you so much for that follow. And I'll look, and Gandalf says thank you. He says, thank you very much. Would you like to ride on my cart with my pony and my fireworks? Thank you so much for that follow. Oh, you know what? See, we got this right here. We just put a big old blob. There's no shape to that. We're going to grab some of this umber over here. Perhaps a little Terra Rosa in that. So umber, Terra Rosa. We'll thin this down just a little bit more. Get some of the junk out of the brush. And right on the top of that, if you can see it, almost, we need a tiny bit more. Wow, that was an awful big blob of paint because I took the brush away and there was a bunch of orange sitting on there. Let's see, got Cereatech resins, but I use them primarily to blend with the cheaper wrapper resin. So a bunch of digital printing info. That's better. See that? It's darker on the top and lighter on the bottom. That's got some form to it now. That had nothing going on. And here it looks like his shoulder. You know what? We gotta expand the light here. I was thinking maybe a shadow there, but I don't think that shadow can be. I was like, a shadow is being cast this way. I'd really like to do that, but I'm just going to say the ambient light wins over here. Yeah, I just that the ambient light had to win on this side over here. Is the ambient light just Moria light? Maybe that's all it is. It's just Moria light. Oh gosh, we have no textures over here. That means we have some more fun with textures that's going to happen over here. It looks like we've got plenty of the lighter texture. So we're going to have to add in some. I don't want to add a bunch of darks either. We need some kind of middle tone. But it can't just be blah middle tone. Maybe this is where we go back to some of this green right here. And this is kind of a mid-tone, same green that we put over here. That's going to go into here. A bunch of, oops, not that big. Little dots of it there. You know what? It's not actually green enough. So value-wise, there's no difference value-wise to what we're doing here to get this little bit of texture in this. It's a color difference. If we did the black and white thing, the film noir, you wouldn't see it at all. You would see the texture of it. You would not see any color or value difference. That's it. You wouldn't see any value difference. Up here, I also need to reflect. That's better. First of all, there was a blob there, which made it too round. Now that is sharpened. Also has reflected light coming from this. Ooh, and we did. Where's our... Now, Valferi, you remember the infinity reflections where metal reflects against metal? And when I saw that one Grey Knight Terminator, when we painted with the pure metal paints, and all of a sudden I saw metal reflecting on metal, and I finally got to say, look, metal reflects on metal. Like the bunny ears reflecting on his helmet here, where they literally bounce off of each other. The horse's headgear here bouncing off of that sword over there. The blue of that tassel onto the armor there. The blue of the shield there. The blue of his tunic there. Now I'm pretty sure, where's my red one here? Yeah, so some of the red reflected onto, see those bits of the dragon scale armor there? So we're going to do the same thing when we get to these guys here, because we're just about to get to those. Well, thanks again, Bettany, for hanging out. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good one. And hopefully maybe see you Monday. Now, be warned, it's the Balrog, so there will be object source lighting galore on that one. So I apologize in advance. I apologize. But we need to put some flame into Shadow and Flame. Well, we're also putting some shadow in it too because, well, it's the Balrog. He is Shadow and Flame after all. So, and Orange says, combined symbol price, okay. Now I'm extra glad that we've got, that we have our Gandalf here. If we're going to be maybe doing the Balrog on Monday. And he's probably going to have a super heavy Sculpey base of some kind. Either that or he's going to be on the Das clay. I got to try and assemble him tomorrow and see what the heck he is all about. Well, actually, probably tonight. Probably tonight after the stream, I'll try to assemble him. And we'll see if he is feasible for Monday. Now, that's actually some off-white yellow. There's a lot of colors in his beard. There's purple. There's a reddish brown. There's even a little bit of green in some areas. There's all kinds of colors in his beard and his hair. Lots of different colors there. Yeah, that's boy. I mean, he is just they have a plastic kit now, but that plastic kit was super expensive, and I do have a metal Balrog. And I have Kathy's Balrog that she painted years ago to kind of show myself as a little example of, well, what it should be angle-wise when all the pieces are together. There's going to be a lot of green stuff work on it. Who knows, I might film a video of that. Might film a video of me doing all of the green stuff work on it. Oh, actually, that could be very fun. Oh, Arj, I've never gotten the air dry Sculpey. I didn't even know that Sculpey made an air dry version. The clay that the air dry clay is the the stuff I was talking about is from DAS. It's the DAS. What's his name? Mel Bose. You know Mel, the terrainiac or terrain tutor, right? He loves his DAS clay, and I never had a chance to use it before. But I put it in those, basically the, oh gosh, what is it? The Woodland Scenics rock molds that most people just use plaster in. Ooh, look at that. Now we got ourselves a nice bright shiny there. Yeah, that was the first time I used it, and I basically shoved it into one of those Woodland Scenic, well, a couple of the Woodland Scenics molds. It popped right out of there. It was fabulous. It didn't crack or anything, and I just made a ton of pieces of it. And I was actually going to do a diorama basing thing of a dark sword dragon, but who knows, we may be using that for our Balrog. Actually, now, I don't know. Now I'm tempted to actually put him on, what was that, that Hilltop Fortress where he and Gandalf had the big battle? I'm almost tempted to put him up there than in Moria itself. So who knows how he's going to be based. He might actually be on a snow base, of all things. But he has to be playable, so I'm thinking he's going to have to be on a Moria base, actually. But yeah, I'd never heard of the Daz air dry clay until I was watching Mel, and he loves his air dry clay. It's kind of funny because he'd never really tried Sculpey very much. And I think he tried doing that once he got his the couple of the Green Stuff World texture rollers. You know what? We need some more of our, yeah, we need some more light in there. But it's also going to have more texture to it as well. Couple of dots in here for texture. Bring that light further up his shoulder. Maybe even further up his hat right here. And maybe push some of these dots together so they're less like dots, and that's better. So I think now we're really getting that lighter light on his hat, because you can see how much less so it is here. Still, I think there's 2 or 3 different differences. One of them is one doesn't yellow as much, apparently. And, oh, speaking of those Senile paints, I think they use safflower oil because they say, they claim anyway, that the safflower oil dries faster. So in those Senile paints that I just got, those are safflower only. At least that's what they say. There is no, there's no linseed oil in there. Well, that could all be untrue. We will find out, because they will be here in probably about a week, maybe. Usually about a week. So I need to give them a little lower lip right there. That's better. Okay, we were saying that cast a shadow onto here. Carrying the light. You know what? A little bit of light right there. Little bit of light and texture. Light and texture being brought in there. Not in there. That's going to stay in shadow. Not going to mess around with that. Over here, that might have been too light. This is more about mixing it. I'm not actually adding any color. I'm literally just taking paint and pushing it around there. That's why this becomes your palette. Have you seen me do a lot of mixing over here? Not really.
Hello, little hobbits. Spark my gun.
Thank you so much, Astrid Kitten, for the follow. And Gandalf says thank you too. He says thank you very much, little hobbit. Wow, this is the first time I've actually had Gandalf to be able to do that with. And I get way too excited about little things apparently, but you know, that's just that's how I roll. This is a little bit of our Egyptian violet here. I was just thinking, okay, if it's a more of a Moria environment, maybe I just might try to darken that down a little bit more. Yes, because I was just thinking, okay, if this is not exactly broad daylight here, maybe we shouldn't have daylight stuff going on this sort. Maybe I'm just going to knock this down a little bit. I'm going to try this. I don't have to do it quite so much over here. We have this a bit on the darker side already. That's a little bit darker there. I'm just going to take some of the paint away, and then now more of the paint away. And this is another case where I'm just going to be pushing around paint that's already there and mixing it like so. Ah, see that? It needed that. Yeah, see, light or dark, light, dark again. Yeah, we need to do that. Looking at the two bottles, the linseed is definitely more yellow. That's sometimes why there'll be, and I'll just take a quick peek here to see if one's got both. This one's refined in linseed oil. I think maybe some of the blues or something like that have linseed oil. I'm looking for one that has both linseed oil and safflower. That's interesting. So the indigo has only linseed oil in it. And we're going to take a look at our, yeah, that's a linseed. Can she close the door for bugs? Thanks. Kathy just got done with her Shadowrun game. That was, they played for a while. Boy, they played for a good, oh gosh, 4 hours. Yeah, over 4 hours, I think. So there's definitely, there's some that have both, and I just don't know if the safflower oil is in there to try and, I don't know, compensate for the linseed oil. Like to either neutralize the drying time or to maybe take away some of the yellowing effect. I don't know. But we'll find out. Hey, Dragon Eye Miniatures, how you doing? So we finally have ourselves an actual Gandalf miniature. Yes, this is not Schmandalf here. And what we did was obviously we wanted to do this is a different type of light source. Never done a white light source before. And we also are doing some texture here. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can kind of see there's a lot of little texture there on his robe. It's fun to do that with the oils. We've been getting some. We got purples right next to greens because guess what? Purple and green. We have some purple here on his outfit there. Purple and green, they make gray. Seriously, not kidding. They make gray. You put those two together, that's what you get, especially something like an Egyptian violet like this. I'm glad you're doing well there, Dragon Eye. I hope that you've had a good weekend, and you know, with today actually was the first day that I got to eat some turkey, and that was really, really tasty. Oh man, that was great. And some pie, because Kathy made all of that good stuff today. It was really fantastic. Now we got some other miniatures we're going to be working on here. We will be painting up. We have some more of our Easterling archers that we need to do. And they're going to look, we're going to be painting them up like this here. And if we might get to the first of our Galadrim figures here, just to kind of determine a color scheme on them. That's a maybe. We'll see what happens. Right now, I'm just throwing in some of this lighter Egyptian violet here onto his regular clothes, and we're maybe even trying to give those a little bit of texture as well. So that's why we're doing the stippling thing here. Little bit of our stippling there. And I just realized, yeah, this is your Moria Gandalf here because of the, so maybe I'll have to just give the Balrog, yeah, some kind of basing like that, but definitely something that's really well, literally rock solid, because he is almost entirely metal. So he is going to need one heck of a strong, strong base. Don't need the lint on there. There is a little bit of a border right here that I'm going to try and get on his tunic here. We are going to blend a little bit of that here. We have kind of a hard line there. We don't want any kind of a hard line there. See that just with the oils, easy to get rid of that, right? Very easy to get rid of that. And we will lighten up the bottom of his beard. And that's with our bright yellow. That is actually not, we're not using a white there. The opacity of that brilliant yellow pale is unreal. Not what I expected at all. I thought it would be a nice light off-white color. I just didn't think it would have the wonderful opacity that it does. I'm really glad it has that. You know what? I'm going to see. Aha. That's what I'm missing. It's almost like there's some of the threads in this, like it's wool, right? And I needed to raise up some of the threads, and that's it. Because this was too neat of a line right there. If that was just cloth, like on, well, even this guy here. You know, that's clearly that's just regular cloth that's bound up there. But on here, I want this to be more of a woolen cloak almost instead of this. So I was painting the highlights there like it was this type of cloth. I need to change those. Steel, that is from Williamsburg. And apparently, just like Fanchon Red and Egyptian Violet, they are different. It's not like Naples Yellow, because that was the first thought that a lot of us had was, okay, it's just their version of Naples Yellow. Well, then you find out maybe not. And then you try something like the Fanchon Red, and you think, well, maybe that's just Naphthol Red. But then other people have tried, they said, no, it's not quite the same thing. And that's where you forget about the pigment numbers and all that sort of stuff. And that's where you get into how did they grind the pigments. Williamsburg supposedly hand grinds all their pigments. Does that mean they're more coarse? And maybe someone else like a Gamlin or a Winsor Newton, because their stuff is done by machine, is it maybe a finer grind to it, and that makes a difference? But I'm still hoping that the oil paint line can be, well, A, made in a timely fashion, or B, just made, period. I'm really hoping, because so many people are doing the oils now, I don't want all of a sudden here like, so-and-so has just done a oil paint line. That would be sort of a bummer. Hopefully that can get made. You know what? I'm going to try a little bit of, because that staff, see, it's not dry or anything like that. It's not dry, but I can go back in here and maybe just give a hint of a lighter line. I mean, this did have texture on it anyways, if I remember right. Just going to give it a little bit of texture here. All right, back here, I need to actually go darker. Need to go darker there. Also need a drink here. 1 second. So sorry about that. Now that it is cooler here with the furnaces going off and all that kind of stuff. Stila, there is no one brand, and there never has been, even with the acrylics. I mostly just use the Reaper Clear liners because it was the most efficient paint to have. There's certain colors that Williamsburg does well. There's certain things that Winsor Newton does well. And there's certain things that Gamlin does well. And all three of them have certain things they don't do well. Unfortunately, Sometimes you find those out the hard way by buying them, trying them, and going, that doesn't work. But there's certain things like I believe that only Gamblin makes this. And there is only one Egyptian violet out there. I don't even think Diazini can I don't think other people that have tried the two, I don't think Diazini is as punchy as that. Also, the Gamblin Van Dyke Brown apparently is, well, the Winsor Newton version is more like burnt umber. Even though they both say Van Dyke Brown, one is dramatically different than the other one. As I add some more darks in here.